One day, there was a young man named Bai. We see him running quickly because he's late for work. We learn he's an ordinary employee who's worked in many companies since graduating from university. Unfortunately, his terrible luck meant his bosses were always harsh and unreasonable. Bai keeps running and barely catches the metro at the last second, squeezing himself among the crowd. He arrives at the office with only 5 seconds to spare, dives at the fingerprint scanner, and manages to clock in on time. But in his rush, he falls flat on his face. Later, we see him at his desk, supposedly. He's working, but he's actually spending his time on his phone. He seems to be contemplating a life-changing decision, but it turns out he's just deciding what to eat for lunch. He looks for discounted food options but finds nothing, and ends up eating whatever is available, feeling very annoyed. Afterward, he starts playing his favorite game, getting really excited. But at that moment, his manager quietly enters to catch him slacking. Bai spots the manager's reflection in his coffee mug and quickly switches to a work-related tab. The manager hovers behind him, trying to catch him red-handed. Every time he approaches, Bai manages to escape his gaze. This goes on until the end of the workday. Bai grabs his bag and rushes to leave, but the manager blocks his way and asks if he's finished the documents. He insists that Bai sends them over as soon as possible. Frustrated, Bai retorts, "Isn't the deadline next Wednesday? Why should I submit it now?" The manager yells, questioning Bai's competence. Bai sarcastically replies, "Why should I finish early? Are you planning to die ahead of schedule or something?" Everyone nearby is shocked by Bai's tone. The manager scolds him, saying, "How dare you speak to me like that?" Bai snaps back, "Didn't we agree on a final deadline? Why are you pressuring me now?" He vents all his frustration on the manager, leaving him speechless. The manager threatens to fire Bai, but Bai, unfazed, replies, "Go ahead, but don't forget my severance pay, or we'll settle this in court." Then he storms out, but suddenly, it's revealed that all of this happened in Bai's imagination. In reality, he meekly says, "Sure, I'll send it over right away." Bai sits back at his desk and starts working late into the evening to finish the pending tasks. While alone in the office, Bai receives a strange message on his phone. It tells him he has access to a massive fortune. He dismisses it as nonsense, but then a voice speaks to him, saying the system has been activated and his fortune will soon be transferred. Bai is stunned and doesn't understand what's happening or who's speaking. Suddenly his phone glows and magically pulls him inside. He wakes up to find himself lying on a bed with his friend Mayang waking him up. Shocked, Bai asks what Mayang is doing there. Mayang tells him to hurry because the deputy dean's lecture is about to start. Bai looks around in disbelief and realizes he's back in his university dorm with all his roommates around him. They warn him to attend the lecture or he'll get into trouble. Bai begins to understand that he's been transported back to his past and is a student again. He wonders how to return to the present but decides to use this chance to improve his life. At that moment, the system activates, showing Bai his profile and details. Shocked, Bai asks who it is. The system introduces itself as his virtual assistant, designed to help him achieve the wealth he's always dreamed of. The system informs Bai that his current fortune is 50,000 yuan. Overjoyed, Bai can't believe it, as he's never had that much money in his life. The system explains the rules and terms, which Bai accepts without hesitation, declaring he's ready to become rich. The system teaches Bai the rules of profit and loss. Losing money on investments will multiply his gains significantly, whereas making profits will only increase the company's value without benefiting his personal account. The system then instructs him to establish his new company for investments. Nervous, Bai doesn't know what to invest in and asks the system for time to think. He browses the internet, looking for a field where he can lose money quickly. He discovers that game development is the perfect field to risk losing money. Bai summons the system and announces his decision to invest in game development. The system sets up the company and asks Bai to name it. He hurriedly names it Tingda Technologies. The system congratulates Bai on his new company and assigns him his first task, developing his first game within 14 days. Panicked, Bai worries about meeting the deadline. Mayang enters, and Bai asks if there's a way to create a game in just 2 weeks. Mayang introduces Bai to a website called Ezro, which is used by developers with no programming skills to create games. He explains the platform's features, which excites Bai. He rushes to the library to use the computers and explore the site. He finds templates on the site suitable for creating a failing game, but is shocked by how expensive they are. He doubts he can create a game with just 50,000 yuan. Finally, he finds a decent template for 20,000 yuan, which includes free car models. He immediately subscribes to it and begins creating the game, spending all 50,000 yuan in the process. Bai spends hours tweaking the game's design to make it as boring as possible, hoping no one will like it. He sets the game's price absurdly high so that no one buys it and uploads it online immediately. The next day, Bai monitors the progress of his game online and feels relieved that no one has bought it so far. Mayang enters the room and hands him his meal, which is eggs with tomatoes. Their other friends come into the room, happy that there are no lectures today. They decide to play online games together and ask Bai to join them, but he declines, saying he didn't sleep well last night and needs to rest. Bai watches Mayang playing and laughs, because Mayang still doesn't know how to play properly, just like before. Bai then heads to his bed to rest for a while. Mayang asks if their noise is bothering him. Bai replies that everything is fine shine and even says he missed their loud chatter. We learn that after graduating and starting work, Bai had bought all the games he ever wanted but never had the time to enjoy them. Now, he feels lucky that everything has changed and he can relax whenever he wants. However, he thinks about how to lose the money invested in his game so he can earn a massive reward from the system. The scene shifts to Xiao, the country's most famous content creator, known for his videos reviewing gaming experiences. We see him sitting in his messy room due to his carelessness. He searches for a new game to try, and Bai's game, The Lone Desert Road, appears before him. Finding the game a bit strange but intriguing, Xiao decides to play it. As soon as he starts, the game jumps right into gameplay. Initially, he enjoys it but loses quickly when distracted. Determined to win, Xiao picks up his controller and plays with enthusiasm. However, after hours of playing, he loses multiple times due to boredom. Frustrated, he focuses harder this time, playing continuously for 8 hours until he finally wins. Excited for the reward after all his effort, a message pops up, saying, "Your prize is that you've wasted 8 hours of your precious time." Furious, Xiao rants about the game and curses it. The next day, Bai attends his lecture and summons the system to ask about his game's data. He sees that only a few players have downloaded it and feels relieved. He asks if any profits have reached his account. The system replies that unfortunately, no revenue has yet been credited to the company. At this point, Bai overhears students talking about Xiao, the content creator, who played a boring game for 8 hours and criticized it. He hears them saying they want to try the game themselves to see if his claims are true. Realizing they're talking about his game, Bai panics, fearing others might also play it and start enjoying it. He rushes to his room to make the game worse and even more boring. Upon arriving at his room, he is shocked to see that social media is buzzing about his game, calling it incredibly boring. Bai logs in to change the game's description, making it sound even worse, and apologizes to users, saying the game is terrible and boring. He even offers refunds for those who want their money back. At this moment, Bai is stunned by the players' reactions, as they forgive him and say they'll give the game another chance. Not only that, but his friend Mayang also starts playing the game, leaving Bai in complete shock. The system screen appears, showing Bai that only 7 days remain before the deadline. The scene shifts to Mr. Lee, the owner of the largest gaming company in the country. He discusses Bai's game with his secretary, noting how it has caused quite a stir lately. He tells her they must take control of the game and make it theirs, just as they dominate the gaming market in the country. She reassures him, saying it won't be a problem, and that they'll acquire it just like the other companies they've taken over before. Bai loses hope that his company will lose money and go bankrupt, so he searches online for ways to lose money. To his shock, all search results are about making money instead of losing it, which makes sense since no one would actively look for ways to lose money. What an idiot, Bai thinks. He then heads to the rooftop and talks to the system, discovering that over the past 2 weeks, his game has sold more than 200,000 copies, earning about 70,000 won in revenue. Bai feels very upset, but the system congratulates him on his game becoming one of the top 10 games in the world. The system informs Bai that the money in the company's account is still below the minimum threshold for withdrawal, so he will receive an additional bonus. As always, Bai gets excited upon hearing the word money. However, he feels sad because the more money he earns, the harder it becomes to lose it. It becomes clear that Bai is upset about having all this money because it belongs to the company account, meaning he can't use it for personal purposes. He wishes he could transfer the money to his personal account. The system then informs him that the second round has started, and this time he has 30 days until the round ends. Bai begins thinking of a way to lose the 300,000 yuan before the 30 days are up. Mayang shows up and tells Bai that there are no lectures today either and invites him to play games with them. Bai agrees and his friends are thrilled to have him join this time. They start playing, and it's revealed that Bai is so skilled at this game that, by the end of the match, he achieves 11 kills on his own. They all start arguing with Mayang because, as usual, he's the reason they lost. Even Bai gets mad and yells at him, calling him the worst person in the world to play this game with. At that moment, Bai gets an idea on how to lose the money. He tells Mayang that he needs someone like him to complete his mission. Mayang is confused, unsure whether Bai is complimenting or insulting him. Bai sticks to Mayang all the time, and his strange behavior frightens Mayang. Bai explains that he's developing a new game. Mayang is surprised and asks if Bai got the inspiration from the popular game going around these days. Bai dismisses the question, saying it doesn't matter. What's important is that he needs Mayang's help to develop the new game. Mayang replies that they're best friends and all, but creating a new game requires a lot of money, and both of them are practically broke. Bai reveals that he's already developed a game and made a lot of money from it. Mayang asks him how much money he has now. Bai replies that he has about 300,000 yuan. Mayang is shocked and falls to the ground, asking what kind of game made him that much money. Bai tells him it's the Lone Desert Road. Mayang is stunned and exclaims, "You're the creator of that ridiculous game." Mayang keeps praising Bai until Bai gets fed up and tells him to stop. Bai reassures him not to worry if the new game fails. He's totally fine with that. Bai also makes Mayang promise to keep their secret, and Mayang agrees, heading straight to the library. Mayang returns to Bai's room later with a large pile of books, saying they need to study thoroughly to make their new game. Bai tells him they're just creating a simple game, so there's no need for all these books, or even learning programming. Mayang insists that he'll study to live up to the responsibility and create the best game possible. At night, Mayang opens a book, but falls asleep immediately after glancing at it. Bai feels delighted with Mayang's neglectful attitude, thinking it's bound to help him lose all the money this time. He goes to sleep feeling incredibly happy. The next morning, Bai checks his game's ranking among other games, and finds it's still at the top. He keeps brainstorming ideas for his new game, which he hopes will cause him to lose all his money. He decides to create a mobile game, thinking it might help him lose money this time. He opens a design website, and searches for the most popular games, discovering that card games are trending. He spends time studying these games to understand their concepts, and eventually finds a very successful game. He tries to replicate it poorly so the game will fail, allowing him to lose all the money. Bai wakes Mayang to start working on the project, feeling very excited. Mayang is clueless about what Bai is doing, so Bai explains that he's investing all his money to create the greatest card game in history. Mayang asks what his role is in all of this. Bai takes him to a restaurant for food, and tells him that his job is to write a story similar to the Tale of the Three Kingdoms. Mayang is surprised and questions whether Bai is serious, pointing out that this could anger fans of the Tale of the Three Kingdoms. Bai internally thinks this is exactly what he wants to happen, but outwardly tells Mayang that all great inventions were doubted at first, so they must boldly pursue their new paths. Mayang agrees but admits he's never even heard of the Tale of the Three Kingdoms, so he doesn't know how to replicate it. Bai is thrilled, thinking Mayang is sure to mess it up. He tells Mayang that's perfect, because it'll allow him to be creative without being influenced by the original story. Encouraged, Mayang starts telling Bai his ideas for the story, which are completely off track. Bai is overjoyed and tells Mayang he's a genius. The scene shifts to Mr. Lee in his car. His assistant informs him that the game The Tale of the Three Kingdoms is losing players over time. After analyzing the situation, the assistant discovers the issue is the low drop rate of rare cards in the game. Mr. Lee dismisses the concern, saying the lower the drop rate, the more exciting the game becomes for players. He tells his assistant to leave the game as it is. Frustrated, Mr. Lee loses his temper and fires the assistant on the spot. We return to Bai and Mayang, where Mayang keeps coming up with brilliant ideas for their game to succeed. However, Bai rejects all of them because, of course, he wants the game to fail so they can lose money. Bai gives convincing reasons for rejecting these ideas, and they end up arguing in the boat, until the boat's captain falls into the river. They begin working on the game, starting with designing the cards. They agree to hire an artist to draw the cards and conduct an online interview with him. They settle on everything, including the price. We see Bai paying the employees more than they ask for to maximize the company's losses. Bai encourages the artist responsible for the cards, making him very excited. The meeting ends on a high note. Bai tells Mayang that he'll be responsible for receiving the cards from the artist. Mayang, who found the artist to be arrogant, reassures Bai, saying, "Leave it to me." He plans to put the artist in his place. Bai relaxes on the balcony, thinking that the company is surely doomed now since the introverted artist is drawing the cards, and the person managing him is lazy and incompetent. Everything is bound to fall apart. Bai then works on designing the game on his laptop, using the worst visuals and the most expensive resources. Meanwhile, we see the artist, Ruan, gathering his team to work on the designs Bai requested. Ruan is very excited, and they start reading the story requirements, only to find them extremely strange and nonsensical. One of the team members suspects that Bai might be scamming them. Ruan reassures them, saying it's not a scam since Bai paid them in advance. He encourages his team, calling this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that they must seize to become famous artists in the future. The team becomes motivated and starts working immediately. They work tirelessly for days with passion and without rest, until they finish the project to perfection. They send the designs to Mayang, who is astonished by Ruan's incredible work. Mayang informs Bai, who is sleeping. Bai responds, "Just let me sleep. Handle it yourself and publish the game." Mayang reminds him that the game doesn't even have a name yet. Bai replies, "Just call it Ghost General or whatever. Anything will do." The next morning, Bai wakes up after his friends have gone to their lectures. Mayang informs him that he tested Ghost General twice and found no bugs, so they can publish it now, right? Bai replies, "Don't worry, we'll definitely publish it today." The next day, we see the friends playing in the room, and Mayang loses as usual, so they hit him as punishment. He tells them he was fully focused on the game, but got distracted when the investor called, causing him to lose. Bai enters the room, visibly angry, and yells at Mayang, pulling him outside. He asks why Mayang stole someone else's designs for their game. Mayang assures him that all the designs are Rowan's and asks why Bai is so upset if everything is going great. It becomes clear that Bai is upset, because this means the game will succeed, and he won't be able to lose the money. Still, he tells Mayang that everything is fine, and that he just wants to be alone for a while. Bai clings to one last hope, that people won't like the game since there are many similar ones, and it will fail, causing the company to go bankrupt. Later we see Bai in the room with Mayang, who is tracking the game's progress. It's revealed that over 100 people downloaded the game as soon as it launched. Suddenly, Mayang reads the comments and finds that they're all negative. He becomes furious, while Bai leaps with joy upon hearing the news. He checks the comments himself, and is thrilled by all the negative feedback. Mayang is puzzled by Bai's reaction and tells him, "You seem shocked, but don't worry, it's probably someone who paid people to do this." He picks up his phone, ready to respond to the negative comments himself. Bai stops him and explains that he can't reply to every comment, especially since it's likely someone paid for them, and the comments will only increase. Mayang calls Ruan and asks for Bai's opinion on the designs. Ruan is reassured that Bai loved them and is delighted that his work impressed Bai. He then asks for the game's name so he can look it up. Mayang tells him, and Ruan begins searching for it. Ruan's team praises Bai for giving them a chance, recognizing Ruan's talent, and being generous with the payment. Ruan becomes curious about the game's description and finds it labeled as just a very ordinary card game. He doubts the quality of his designs but is reassured by a teammate, who calls it a reverse psychology marketing strategy. Ruan comments that the game didn't have any advertisements. His teammate replies that it just launched, so there probably hasn't been time for promotion yet. Bai searches for the game and discovers it's from the same company that created the Lone Desert Path. His friends ask him if he only now noticed the company's name. Didn't he see it on the contract? Bai explains that he wrote the contract on the ESRO website. His friends aren't fans of the company, but decide to wait and see what happens. That evening, Ruan tries the game and finds it surprisingly simple compared to other card games. He enjoys it so much that he ends up playing all night. The next morning, Ruan calls Mayang to complain about the game's issues, like how the rare cards are too cheap and easy to obtain. Mayang explains that Bai did this so casual players could also enjoy the game. Ruan is moved and says Bai must be very kind-hearted to prioritize people's enjoyment over profits. Mayang is also touched and tells Ruan that Bai spent all his money on developing the game and is very upset right now. Ruan is shocked by this and immediately hangs up to discuss the problem with his team. He explains Bai's company's situation to them. One team member notes that the game won't succeed without ads, which require money. Ruan decides he must solve this issue as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Bai is thrilled that the game has failed, thinking his mission is complete, and the money will soon be transferred to his account. But Mayang suddenly bursts in, announcing that they've finally become rich. Bai is stunned and doesn't understand. Mayang explains that their game surpassed 10,000 downloads in a single day. Bai asks how that's possible without any ads. Mayang replies that maybe people just liked the game. It even received a 5-star rating. Bai checks the game and finds numerous positive comments from players who love it. Shocked, Bai immediately calls Ruan, angrily asking if he promoted the game online. Ruan happily replies that it's the least he could do. It's revealed that Ruan asked his friends in chat groups to write positive comments about the game to promote it. Ruan even requested everyone he knew to help spread the word since Bai has social anxiety. Bai is furious with Ruan for his actions, as this ruined his plan to lose the money after the company went bankrupt. But he forces himself to thank Ruan for his help in promoting the game, though he falls into another bout of despair. The scene shifts to Mr. Lee, whose assistant informs him that Ghost General is likely to surpass their game, The Three Kings, soon. Mr. Lee realizes that Bai's company has been challenging him intentionally from the beginning, as evidenced by imitating their game and even surpassing it. Lee instructs his assistant to ensure they acquire Bai's company as quickly as possible. Later, we see Bai at school hearing that his game received the highest rating online and that they want to honor him. He sneaks into the bathroom to ensure no one is around and calls customer service, requesting the game be removed from the rankings because he doesn't deserve the recognition. The system appears to him and informs him that this violates the rules, warning him of punishment. Bai panics and ends the call immediately. He then asks the system to change the profit allocation so that the money goes directly into his account instead of the company's, but the system refuses and disappears. As Bai walks around, thinking about what to do, the system reappears on the ground and informs him that the 30-day deadline has ended. It announces the start of a new mission, with a 90-day countdown, and reveals that the game has earned 200,000 yuan in just 2 weeks. Bai discovers that the money transferred to his personal account is only 247 yuan out of all these huge earnings. Frustrated, Bai exclaims, "You're raking in all this money off my back and only giving me a tiny fraction?" The system explains the new mission. Bai must invest around 500,000 yuan in a new venture within 90 days. Bai wonders how he'll lose all this money, especially since his two silly games are still generating significant daily profits. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee orders his assistant to acquire Bai's company by any means necessary, no matter the cost. The scene shifts back to Bai, sitting on the school field, brainstorming ways to lose all this money. Mayang calls him, informing him that Mr. Lee's company wants to buy their company. Bai gets excited and is about to agree, but the system prevents him, so he has to refuse. Mayang is puzzled and tells Bai how much they're offering. Despite this, Bai still declines and almost starts crying. Mayang informs him that they increased the offer by another 50,000 yuan, then added another 50,000 yuan. With every increase, Bai becomes more devastated. Finally, Mayang mentions that the company is willing to invest their money in Bai's company instead. Bai refuses again, saying they already have enough money, and even offers to invest in Mr. Lee's company instead. When Mr. Lee hears about this, he's furious at Bai's rejection of all the offers. He mistakenly thinks Bai wants to take over his company, especially after offering to invest in it. Feeling insulted and humiliated, Mr. Lee vows to destroy Bai completely. Bai takes Mayang out for a fancy meal to celebrate their earnings, but it's clear Bai is deeply upset. Mayang asks him why he's so sad despite all the money they've made. Bai internally thinks about how his own salary from the company is only 1,000 yuan, even though he's the CEO, while Mayang, just an assistant, earns 3,000 yuan. What's there to celebrate about that, he wonders. Mayang tries to cheer him up by buying him a meal, but Mayang is shocked by the bill, and doesn't have enough money to pay. Just as he's about to stick Bai with the bill, Bai ditches him and runs outside. Bai calls the system and asks it to cover their daily expenses. The system agrees, so Bai reassures Mayang, who's tied to his chair, that he can eat as much as he wants. Later, Bai sees a news report on TV about technology and innovation. Mayang suggests they create a large, advanced game instead of these simple ones. Bai likes the idea because it means hiring many employees, which would allow him to spend all the money on their salaries. When Mayang asks about the new game's concept, Bai responds, the game doesn't matter right now. The important thing is expansion and blowing through lots of money. Bai starts listing the things they'll need for a big company, and asks Mayang if he knows how to manage one. Mayang admits he doesn't, so Bai suggests finding someone who can and heads to a recruitment agency, with Mayang to hire a new manager for their company. The scene shifts to Mr. Zhou's office, where Lin, an employee, hands in her resignation. Mr. Zhou is surprised and asks why she's leaving. Lin explains that working there won't help her achieve her dreams and that staying would just be a waste of time. She thanks him for his support and leaves. Bai and Mayang arrive at the agency. As soon as they enter, the manager is surprised to see college students and asks if they're looking for a job or starting a business. He advises them to look online if they're hiring employees. Bai insists that he needs someone excellent to help manage his company and trusts the agency's decision, which is why they came. The manager arrogantly replies, "You know we charge high fees for our services, right?" Mayang gets annoyed and tells him they're aware. Bai calms Mayang down and tells the manager he's willing to pay an annual salary of 400,000 yuan for the employee. Shocked, the manager treats them respectfully, offering drinks and fruit within seconds. The conversation takes a complete turn. While the manager introduces himself to Bai as Lawrence, Bai asks if he has anyone suitable for the position. Lawrence requests more details about the candidate Bai is looking for. Bai describes the ideal employee, and Lawrence suggests an excellent secretary who worked for a top international company. Bai agrees, and they leave the office with Lawrence to finalize the contracts. At the same time, Lin arrives at the agency to apply for a new job. Bai overhears her talking about his game, and tells her not to believe the news, because the game is boring and ordinary, contrary to what the reports claim. Lin gets irritated and responds, "You don't understand anything. The goal of this company isn't to make money, it's to innovate." Bai leaves her and walks away. Lawrence bids Bai farewell, assuring him that the new secretary will join them the next day. Lawrence returns to Lin and asks about the job she's seeking. Lin says she wants to know if there are positions available at Mr. Bai's game development company. Lawrence informs her that the person she was just speaking to is Bai himself. Lin is stunned and rushes outside, but by the time she gets there, Bai is already in a taxi and gone. The next day, Bai meets the secretary Sin at a cafe for a job interview. He warmly welcomes her and asks her to sit down. She tells him she's heard a lot about his company, even though it's still new, but it has achieved great success in a short time. They discuss the terms of employment, and she tells him she's ready to start immediately. Bai responds that they don't have an office yet, so they can't begin right away. He takes her to the new company site, which boasts the best view in town. He then negotiates with the agent to rent the entire floor, which is incredibly expensive. The agent tries to convince Bai that the price is very reasonable considering the amenities provided. However, the agent is shocked when Bai considers the rent cheap, not expensive. Bai, still focused on spending 700,000 won monthly on rent to bankrupt the company, finalizes the deal with the agent. Sin approaches Bai with a prepared list of supplies needed to set up the company, but Bai doesn't like the list because it's inexpensive, and he wants everything to be costly to lose money. He tells her that the company's appearance is also important. She asks about the budget he has allocated for office supplies, and he tells her it's 800,000 yuan. She responds that the amount is very generous and that it would easily cover office resources. Bai reassures her, saying the cost doesn't matter. What's important is the company's appearance. He lists the furniture and amenities they need, focusing mainly on items for employee comfort. Sin is surprised, and tells him he's very considerate of his employees, but hasn't mentioned anything about his own office. Shin prepares Bai's office, including an excellent room where he can rest whenever he likes. She also presents him with a report on the staff required for the company. They agree that Bai will personally select the game development team, while Sin helps him hire the rest. Sin then tells Bai he needs to improve his appearance since he's now the head of a big company. Bai happily agrees, seeing it as another way to spend more money. He continues brainstorming ways to spend money and bankrupt the company. He remembers another failure in life, similar to Mayang, and decides to hire him immediately. Bai goes to the store where Bao, the person he wants to hire, lives. He asks the staff about Bao, and they tell him he's in the back room. Bao is revealed to be a second-year university student whose only expertise is playing games. He was expelled from university due to repeated failures, and later worked in an internet cafe for 3 years. Bai meets Bao and tries to convince him to work at the company. Bao asks if the job is managing a cafe, but Bai explains that he wants him to work as a game designer. Bao is skeptical, thinking Bai is joking, but Bai reassures him and even gives him an advance on his salary. Bao begins to take the job seriously. Bai promises him a high-performance computer with dual monitors in the office, allowing him to play any game he wants. Bao then admits that he doesn't know how to design games. Bai reassures him, saying, "Don't worry man, no one can do this job better than you. Or are you happy with your current situation?" Bai continues to motivate him until Bao finally agrees to work with him. Bai goes home happy, knowing he's managed to spend another large sum of money. Only 2 weeks have passed, and he believes hiring the incompetent Bao will certainly lead to the company's downfall. The next morning, Bai is late for the interviews to hire new staff for the company. He arrives to find one person nervously waiting for his turn. Bai asks, "Are you here for the interview?" The man replies, "Yes, and you?" Bai doesn't respond, leaving the man more anxious. At that moment, the man's current boss approaches him rudely and asks what he's doing there. The boss mocks him, saying the company's standards are high, and he'll never be accepted. The man explains that he's on his lunch break and just visiting. The boss sarcastically remarks, "You even have time for lunch. Get back to work." Bai observes all this and enters the elevator with the man. Bai asks, "Is that your colleague?" The man responds, "No, he's my boss, the lead designer at the company." He then whispers, "I can't believe my boss secretly applied for a job here too." Bai reassures him, saying, "Don't worry, there's no way we'll hire him." The man is confused and asks, "If you won't hire someone with such a great resume, then who will you hire me?" Once inside, the receptionist warmly greets Bai, surprising the man when he realizes Bai is the owner of the company. During the interview, the man suddenly wants to leave. Bai asks why and the man replies, "You're hiring me, really?" Bai confirms, "Of course. Now tell me, what's your expected salary?" The man requests 2,000 yuan per month. Bai laughs and says, "That's not possible. Let's break it down. You spend 1,000 yuan on rent, 800 on food, plus expenses for clothes and transport. Your minimum monthly expenses are 3,000 yuan, so your salary should be 4,000. The man is overjoyed and promises to dedicate his life to the company. Bai agrees that the man will start after submitting his resignation to his current job. Later Bai decides to rest, but Scene interrupts, saying a woman insists on meeting him for a job interview. Reluctantly, he agrees, and Lin enters. Her persistence convinces Bai to hire her, and he ends the ordeal to save himself the hassle. We see Bai's friends at the dorm, worried about him since he hasn't returned for a while. They ask Mayang about him, and he nervously tells them that Bai is working part-time with him. But it's a night shift, so he rented a place outside for now. The friends get distracted playing cards and marvel at how amazing the game is. Mayang sneaks away at that moment, and falls asleep immediately. The scene shifts to Bai's company, where the employees are confused about their situation. Bai hasn't assigned them any tasks. All they do is play games all day. Lin tells them that Bai is making them do this to better understand the user's perspective. By playing as many games as possible, they'll gain knowledge to create excellent games later. The team starts brainstorming ideas for a new game to prove they're up to the task Bai has given them. But Bao points out that Bai hasn't been around for a while to oversee anything. They wonder where Bai is. But he spends his time in his private room doing nothing but relaxing. He observes them through cameras from his room. At that moment, Bai gets an idea for a new game and heads to the team to consult them. We see Shin dismissing the employees as the workday ends, but they're frustrated that another day has passed without accomplishing anything. Bai arrives at that moment and gathers all the employees. He tells them that he's been thinking about the company's future and wants to make it one of the biggest gaming companies in the country. From now on, there will be no more silly games. The next game will be a war game, and he asks if they're up for the challenge. Bai motivates the entire team until they're filled with enthusiasm. He tells them to take it easy. He's not asking for a masterpiece, just for them to put their best effort into the game. Bai takes Sibo and Bao to the meeting room, seating them in massage chairs to relax. He explains the elements he wants in the new game, such as controls and the basic storyline. Sibo is very anxious, doubting their ability to execute these ideas since they're all beginners. But Bai reassures him, encouraging him and making him the lead designer of the game, with Bao as the project supervisor. Bai relaxes with them on the massage chairs. When the workday ends, Bai leaves the company and notices everyone has gone home except Bao, who's still playing games. Bai leaves him alone and walks away. However, Sibo hides, intending to work overtime to create the best storyline design and live up to the responsibility Bai has given him. Sibo and Bao work late into the night, eventually coming up with a brilliant idea, using minimal resources to produce the best results. The same strategy used in the company's first 2 games. Bao begins to visualize the game for Sibo. It turns out to be an amazing concept, with a storyline involving battling zombies on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. Sibo and Bao imagine themselves playing the game, enjoying it immensely. Sibo tells Bao he's incredible. They keep working until morning, but Mayang catches them in the morning and asks if they worked overtime. They evade him and sneak away. Days pass, and Sibo keeps staying up late working every night. Bao tells him he doesn't have to work overtime every day, but Sibo replies that there's too much work, and he has to finish it, because the time Bai gave them isn't enough to test the modifications too. Sibo sits with Bao to gain some gaming expertise, and Bao explains the designs of all the games he's played. However, Sibo is astonished and doesn't understand anything, so Bao searches for a game similar to what he has in mind to help Sibo understand. Meanwhile, Mayang keeps watching them from a distance and confirms that they're working overtime every day. The next morning, Bai and Mayang attend a lecture at the university. Bai is eager for the lecture to end and feels extremely bored. He gets a message from Sibo saying he has finished the game design framework and is just waiting for Bai's approval. Bai is amazed by how quickly they've completed their tasks and wonders what he'll do if the design turns out good. It would actually be a problem for him. Then Mayang tells him that Sibo has been working overtime every night, which annoys Bai, who says that's why he managed to finish early. Bai asks Mayang to join him at the library, and they sneak out of the lecture. But Mayang says, "I saw Sibo at the office and he wasn't even working. On the contrary, he was just playing games." Bai gets excited and says, "Why didn't you say that earlier?" And they return to their seats in the lecture hall. Bai checks the design Sibo sent him. He glances at it, but upon seeing too much text, he doesn't read it. He simply asks, "Does it include everything I requested?" Sibo replies, "Yes," and Bai thanks him, telling him to keep up the good work. Bai tells Mayang to ignore Sibo's behavior. Mayang is surprised and asks how. All he does is play games. Bai tries to explain that playing games is actually part of the company's work. At that moment, Sibo informs the employees that Bai has approved the design and trusts them. He asks everyone to work even harder. The employees channel all their energy into work, day and night, feeling extremely motivated. Meanwhile, Bai spends his time completely relaxed, checking the system for profits and losses. He notices that the company is spending a large amount, but there's still a lot of money left, and he doesn't know how to use it all. Mayang approaches Bai and informs him that it's not just Sibo playing games after work. The whole company does even after work hours. He also tells Bai that everyone except them isn't doing overtime. He adds that this breaks the rules. Bai starts thinking about how to take advantage of this opportunity to spend as much money on them as possible. Mayang is surprised, but Bai explains that since the employees are sacrificing their health by working overtime for the company, it's their responsibility to ensure their health and comfort. The next day, Bai visits the company, and Sibo shows him what they've accomplished lately. At that moment, a food service arrives with all kinds of luxurious meals. The employees are astonished at what they see, and Mayang announces that, starting today, everyone gets a free lunch. Chin also tells them that the company's private gym will soon be available to everyone. Sibo is surprised by Bai's actions and asks Lin why Bai is doing all this. Lin replies that Bai is a kind boss, the kind you only find in stories. Sibo responds that Bai gives them amazing benefits, which must mean he wants them to work even harder, even though he's banned overtime. The team decides to secretly work overtime to surprise Bai, but they're surprised themselves when they receive a pay raise for the overtime they worked. Lin tries to reject the extra pay on behalf of the employees, but Bai convinces her as usual. She informs everyone that Bai refused to take back the extra money. Bai continues thinking about how to spend even more money. Meanwhile, the employees outside are praising Bai, saying he trusts them so much that they must work even harder and never disappoint him. Mr. Lee, meanwhile, contacts other companies to create trouble for Bai's company. He also instructs his assistant to offer the best deals to Bai's employees to lure them away. Back at Bai's company, Bao is overwhelmed with the workload as the employees wait for his instructions. Sibo steps in to help and distributes the tasks among the employees. Just as each employee heads to their station to complete their assigned tasks, their phones ring simultaneously. They all receive excellent job offers. A month later, Bai is in a lecture when Mayang calls him, saying there's very bad news. Mayang informs Bai that a rival company is trying to poach all their employees. Bai rushes to the office, but encounters the annoying Mayang on his way, which stresses him out even more. Bai enters the company and finds chaos everywhere. He imagines that the employees have betrayed him and joined the rival company. Suddenly, Bai notices the employees behind him. He is surprised and says, "You haven't left yet." They reply, "Leave." Where would we go? Work hours haven't even ended yet. Then, the annoying Mayang blurts out, didn't you all agree with the rival company? Sin responds that the rival company offered deals to all the employees, but everyone rejected the offers of course. Mayang is shocked and asks, why did you refuse the offer? Sibo replies that everyone is happy working here with Mr. Bai. The employees continue praising Bai for everything he's done for them, expressing how much they love and feel comfortable in the company. Bai is touched by their words and says, I knew you'd do that, but where were you? What's with all this mess? Sibo explains that they were testing the game before its release, and the mess is due to their excitement about how amazing it is. Bai is astonished that they've actually finished the game. They all go with Bai to the presentation room to show him the game. Bai is speechless, amazed by how great it is. He starts to worry about how excellent the game is, and that they managed to create such a masterpiece. Sibo suggests tweaking a few parts of the game to make it perfect. Bai is surprised that they finished the game a month early to allow time for adjustments and fixes during the remaining period. Bai starts brainstorming ways to stop them from improving the game too soon. He tells them they'll celebrate completing the game first. At that moment, Shin enters and tells Bai that someone wants to meet him. Mr. Lee's assistant walks in, and everyone is surprised to see him. Bai is shocked that everyone knows this man except him. Sibo explains to Bai that this is the man who tried to recruit them to Mr. Lee's company. The assistant is nervous and worried that Bai might hit him or throw him out. However, Bai welcomes him. The assistant thanks Bai and says he's leaving Mr. Lee's company to work for him, as he's determined to do so after seeing all the benefits Bai offers his employees. The assistant begins revealing everything Mr. Lee has done to try to take over Bai's company. The employees are visibly upset and angry with the assistant. Bai tells the assistant that his company is for game development only, and there's no suitable position for him. Bai then asks Shin to escort him out. Later, the employees are at the company gym, praising Bai as usual. Lin suddenly announces that she'll visit the rival company to learn more about Mr. Bai's role in advancing the gaming industry. Bai overhears Lin talking about visiting the rival company. He decides that they should all take a trip to the rival company's headquarters. They go, enjoy a meal, and then arrive at the rival company, where they are shocked to find that the company owns the entire building, unlike their single-floor office. The rival company's secretary greets them, and guides them to Mr. Chu's office. Mr. Chu welcomes Bai, but it's clear the two can't stand each other. Bai is amazed by the company, so Chu boasts about it, saying, I'll show you games you can't buy anywhere, no matter the cost. The rest of Bai's team enters and starts mocking the rival company, saying it's far inferior to their own. Chu overhears their comments and is furious but hides his anger, as they can't see him. Bai tries to silence his team, but it's no use. Lin assures him that the room is soundproof, so there's no need to worry, and they can talk freely. At that moment, they notice Chu in the room, and Lin freezes in place. Chu greets Lin when he realizes she's with them. He calls in his employees for a meeting between the two companies. The teams from both companies sit in the hall, and Chu's team welcomes Bai's team. Mayang begins asking Chu about his employees' rights and salaries, highlighting the benefits Bai's company offers, such as overtime pay, which isn't available anywhere else. Chu is embarrassed, and his assistant tries to change the topic. She attempts to humiliate Lin by mentioning that she worked on a failed game at their company, which is why she left before Chu could fire her. Chu's employees laugh at Lin. Bai's team encourages her, and Bai says that Lin is talented, plays a major role in his company, and that he's lucky to have her on his team. He asks her to explain the company's mission in game development. Lin begins explaining the purpose of game development at their company, the benefits offered to employees and players, and, of course, praises Bai as usual. Chu is infuriated by everything happening and decides to deliver an impressive speech himself. Otherwise, he'd look terrible after Lin's presentation. And he finds himself not knowing what to say or do, so he decides to introduce them to their new game. But his secretary catches up with him and says, "Are you crazy? The news about this game has to stay confidential until we release it online." However, Cho insists on talking about the game and reassures her that the game is set to be released mid-month, so there's no way anyone can copy it in time. He starts explaining the game and how realistic it is, even in the use of weapons, leaving Saibo stunned by its quality, which turns out to be much better than their game. At that moment, he glances at Bai, and is surprised to see that Bai is completely unfazed and very confident in their abilities. But Bai is secretly pleased that Cho's company has outperformed them, thinking it'll definitely cause the company to lose money this time. Bai and his team applaud Cho's speech, and for the first time, Cho feels a sense of greatness and importance. The team returns to their company afterward, and Bai grants them a 10-day vacation as a reward for their hard work. But Saibo calls the team and tells them they've done an excellent job, though their game still doesn't compare to Cho's company's game. He reminds them that Mr. Bai offers them benefits unmatched anywhere else and asks them to use their vacation time to improve the game. The team gets excited and decides to make the game the best it can be. In the evening, Mr. Lee calls Cho and scolds him for not informing him that Bai and his team visited the company today. Cho gets nervous and says it wasn't a big deal, so he didn't want to bother him. Mr. Lee replies, and telling them about the new game wasn't a big deal either. Cho explains that he only did it to demoralize Bai's team, but didn't realize it had the opposite effect. Cho reassures Mr. Lee that there's no way Bai's team can do anything with the game in such a short time since there are only 2 weeks left. Mr. Lee gets angry and warns Cho to be careful with Bai because he's not as simple as he seems. Back with Bai's team, they're focused on working, improving, and upgrading the game. Bai calls Shen to check if she gave the employees their vacation as planned. The room goes silent, and Shen replies that everything is fine, and that all employees are on their 10-day vacation as instructed. Bai says, alright, and informs her that he'll be busy during this period, and won't be able to come to the company. The team continues working on the game, finishing it, and handing it over to Bao for final testing. He praises them, saying it's excellent. A week passes, and we see Bai in his office, reviewing the money spent on the company lately. He's pleased with the large amounts spent and starts brainstorming ways to spend even more. He calls Shen and says he wants to arrange entertainment for the team, booking a cinema for them to watch a movie, and spends more money. But Bai is shocked when the movie suddenly transitions into a recorded message from his team, revealing their surprise. He's utterly stunned when they announce that they've developed the game and can release it a day before Cho's team's game. In shock, Bai jumps from his seat, exclaiming that they can't release the game before theirs. The team is puzzled and asks him why, but he can't give an answer. Then the system appears and reminds him he'll receive a penalty if he delays the game's release. Bai, extremely frustrated, holds back his anger and tells them, we should celebrate properly before releasing the game. The team is overjoyed, and Bai organizes an impressive feast for them. Everyone is thrilled. Bai asks Shen, didn't you give them a 10-day vacation? How did they finish all this work? Mayang responds, you told them their work is just playing games, so it wasn't hard for them to do it during their vacation, right? This angers Bai, who hits Mayang, saying, eat your ice cream and keep quiet. The team then enjoys their celebration, wishing for the game's success, while Bai feels deeply frustrated. Lin notices Bai looking very anxious and assumes he's thinking about the team's future, feeling sorry that they're enjoying themselves while he worries about everyone's future. But in reality, Bai couldn't care less about all that, and is solely focused on how to spend money and make the company lose more. Everyone keeps enjoying themselves until they're exhausted and fall asleep, forgetting to release the game. The next morning, Lin rushes to the company and asks if the game was published. Sibo replies that they were all so tired last night that they forgot to publish it. Lin is shocked and asks how Bai reacted when he found out. Mayang replies that he was very sad but didn't show it. The team starts monitoring the game rankings and finds their game at the bottom. Unlike Cho's team's game, they keep waiting for any improvement, but it's no use. They realize the game hasn't been marketed at all. They approach Shen and request a budget for marketing, but she tells them Bai might refuse. The team then decides to cover the marketing costs from their own money. We see Lin talking to Bao and Sibo about how to promote the game. She tells them she'll invite the most famous game tester in the country, Mr. Chen, explaining that if he likes the game, it will surely make all players eager to try it. The scene transitions to Mr. Chen in his room, testing Bai's company's new game. At first, he finds it strange, but soon he's amazed by it, especially the realistic visuals and the zombie battles. He keeps playing, thoroughly enjoying it, and manages to pass all levels with the help of the virtual character in the game. Afterward, he visits Bai's company to congratulate Lin and the team on creating such an excellent game. He's filled with excitement, and with fans surrounding him, they ask his opinion of the game. Naturally, he tells them how much he enjoyed it and recommends everyone to buy it. He asks Bao, Sibo, and Lin how they managed to create a simple game with the quality of top international titles. He promises to do a live stream from his page to encourage all players to buy and try the game. We then return to Bai, who is talking to Mayang at the university about the state of the new game and its ranking. Bai tries to appear deeply upset about the game's failure in front of everyone, but inside, he's overjoyed, thinking he'll finally bankrupt the company and transfer all that money to his private account. But poor Bai doesn't get to celebrate for long. He's shocked when Mayang tells him that things have been going well for the past 2 days and that the game's ratings have finally started to improve. Bai quickly rushes to the company to understand what's happening. He arrives at the company in a hurry, finding everyone sitting calmly. They seem nervous but not excited, so he assumes everything must be fine. Suddenly, all the employees stand up, clapping for him, and tell him that the game has achieved outstanding success. They praise him for his trust in them. Bai is stunned and in complete shock, while the team celebrates, ecstatic with joy. The day ends, and Bai sits in his office, thinking about what else he can do to bankrupt the company. He says he did everything to make the game fail, yet it succeeded in the end. Sibo enters the office and hands Bai a report detailing everything they did to make the game such a huge success. Bai learns that they hired a professional player, Mr. Chen, to give the game massive publicity, and that he even did a free live stream for them. Bai sits in his office, thinking about how he can lose the most money before the deadline set by the system. He summons the system and tells it he wants to do two important things: first, improve the first two games, and second, throw a company party where he gives employees half of the profits earned from the new game. The system refuses his request, explaining that it goes against the rules. Bai tries to convince it, arguing that other companies often spend large amounts of money on employee bonuses. The system responds, dismissing this as mere rumors. Frustrated, Bai feels helpless, wishing he could hit the system. Every time he suggests a way to waste money, the system refuses. However, due to Bai's persistence, the system eventually agrees to allow a small monthly bonus for employees. That evening, Shin enters Bai's office and finds him sitting alone. She asks why he's sitting there by himself, and he tells her that he still has a lot to think about. He encourages her to take a break. She tells him to contact her if he needs anything, but Bai asks her how he could withdraw money illegally. Shin is shocked and tells him it's wrong, and he can't do that. Bai convinces her, claiming it's all for the benefit of the employees. Shin reluctantly agrees to help and suggests excuses, such as raising employee salaries, giving monthly bonuses, gifts for employees, and other unnecessary expenses. Bai is thrilled by her ideas and tells her that hiring her was the best decision he ever made. Shin continues working on these ideas to waste money, and presents her reports to Bai the next morning. Bai takes all the calculations to the system, which reviews and approves them. Bai is overjoyed and takes the team to the mall to buy whatever they need as a reward. Bai hands out shopping cards to the entire team, and they are thrilled, thanking him for his generosity. They all take their cards and head out to shop. Bai takes the team to the most famous smart device store, and lets each person buy whatever they like, no matter the price. The more money he spends, the happier he becomes. Even after spending all that money, Bai still wants to spend more. He asks Shin what he could buy for himself, and she suggests he get a watch and a pen that match his suits, as the head of a major company should maintain a proper image. Bai is delighted to find a new way to waste money. He rushes to a watch store and buys the most expensive watches available. The salesperson is thrilled to have such a gullible customer and sells him a watch worth around 40,000 yuan. Bai visits every shop, buying everything he desires at the highest prices. The team is amazed by his behavior, joking that he enjoys shopping more than women do. As usual, Lin defends him, saying that Bai is doing all this not for himself, but for the company. She adds that he hasn't even exceeded their allowable budget yet. At this moment, the 90-day deadline for the mission ends. The system displays the results to Bai, and he is ecstatic that he managed to lose an impressive amount of money this time. Bai gathers the team and tells them to meet at the company in an hour for some important decisions he needs to announce. At the company meeting, Bai honors Bao and Saibo for their efforts in creating the latest game and presents them with the Best Employee Award. Everyone applauds them, and Saibo thanks Bai for trusting them. But the team is shocked when Bai suddenly announces Saibo's dismissal from the company. Saibo asks why, and Bai explains that he's doing it to help Saibo achieve his dream. He hands him about 1,000,000 yuan to start his own project. Saibo is overjoyed and faints from sheer happiness. Next, Bai turns to Bao and grants him an open-ended vacation with a fixed salary. He explains that this is to help Bao realize there are many enjoyable things in life besides games. Bao refuses the reward, saying he prefers staying at the office, but Bai insists, convincing him it's also for the company's benefit. In the end, Bao reluctantly agrees. Saibo starts packing his things to leave the company, with all the employees bidding him farewell and wishing him success in his future endeavors. Saibo avoids saying goodbye to Bai, thinking Bai might be upset and doesn't want to make him angrier. Meanwhile, Bai is overjoyed, dancing in his office. Bai decides not to make any updates to his existing games and immediately starts planning a new project. This time, he resolves to oversee everything himself to ensure the project fails and doesn't succeed like the last one. He informs the team that they'll be creating a sci-fi game this time. Bai passionately pitches his flawed game idea to the team, describing it as if they're part of it. The team gets excited and promises Bai they'll live up to his trust, just like every other time. Days pass, and the university vacation begins. Bai decides to take a break from work. Meanwhile, Lin and Love are working hard on the game. Love becomes exhausted from all the recording and working without rest, but Lin scolds him, reminding him they must rise to the responsibility Bai entrusted them with. Eventually, Love gets motivated and works enthusiastically alongside Lin, dubbing the game's characters. The vacation days fly by, and Bai returns to the company, where Bao comes to meet him after traveling around the world, just as Bai had instructed. Bao is in bad shape and asks Bai to let him return to work. Bai is puzzled and asks why, pointing out that he has been sending Bao's salary on time. Bao explains that he can't handle traveling anymore and, if Bai doesn't want him back, he'll return to working at an internet cafe. Bai reluctantly agrees to reinstate him. Bao is thrilled and overjoyed to return to work. However, Bai secretly instructs Bao not to help Love with the new project, so Love can gain experience on his own. True to this, when Love asks Bao for help, Bao refuses but reassures him, saying Love will succeed on his own. Later that evening, Bao and Saibo meet, and Bao asks Saibo about his new project. Sibo admits that unfortunately, he hasn't found any idea worth working on yet. However, he notices the zombie game they made earlier and asks if Bai plans to update it. Bao replies that Bai hasn't, but after playing it a lot, he found several bugs and recorded them in this notebook. Bao and Sibo decide to secretly work on improving the zombie game on their own. Bai, meanwhile, grows increasingly frustrated trying to figure out who's making these improvements, but he's unable to discover anything. The next day, Roan comes to the company looking for Mayang to give him sketches of new characters that could be added to the updates for Phantom General. He created these sketches for free. However, Shin meets him and informs him that Mayang isn't available. She suggests that he meet Mr. Bai and give him the sketches directly. Roan goes in to see Bai, who gets annoyed at him for taking such an initiative without permission. 10 minutes later, Roan leaves Bai's office and tells Shin that Bai handed him the design of the new game, assigning him to design the characters and the new poster for the game himself. Love then enters Bai's office and shows him the dubbing work he's done. Bai praises Love for his great effort and gives him the marketing plan report, asking him to hand it to Lin so she can start working on it. We find out that Bai's marketing plan involves requesting a favor from Cho, the owner of the country's largest gaming channel, to promote their new game in exchange for a substantial fee. Lin contacts Chow and presents the idea, telling him they'll pay him 10,000 yuan for his services. Naturally, Cho agrees immediately upon hearing the staggering amount, overwhelmed with excitement and joy. Lin gives him the script he's supposed to use to promote the game. Chow, however, finds the script odd and asks if he can change it. Lin responds that this is absolutely forbidden. Chow insists he needs creative freedom to deliver his best work, but Lin raises the offer, telling him they'll pay him 50,000 yuan if he sticks to the script exactly as written. Forgetting his earlier principles, Chow agrees without hesitation. Lin then informs Bai that Mr. Chow accepted the job and will start promoting the game immediately. Bai asks her how much she paid him, and she tells him it was 50,000 yuan, as instructed. Chow begins researching the game to start his work, but he finds it terrible. Nevertheless, he continues working, driven by the money he's been paid. Meanwhile, Lin informs Bao and Sibo that the launch date for the new game is set for April Fool's Day, chosen to make it a memorable event. Bai gathers the team to show them the video Chow made to promote the game. Everyone dislikes the ad except Bai, who is happy because he wants the game to fail. Suddenly, Shin enters and informs Bai that everyone on the internet is criticizing Bai games. The team panics and rushes to see what's happening. Of course, Bai, the cunning one, is delighted by the chaos because he's always wished for the company to collapse. All the players in the country are criticizing the game, claiming Chow couldn't have said such things while in his right mind, and accusing Bai games of kidnapping and forcing him to say them. The team is devastated, while Bai celebrates the imminent downfall of the company. The next day, the secretary goes to the company and informs them that Bai asked them to return home today. But everyone is tense and upset because the new game is failing. Then, Sibo enters and introduces his friend, who works in the media industry and has been invited today to help solve the problem. Everyone is shocked by what's happening. Sibo tells them there's no time for astonishment and that they need to move quickly to save the situation. The team becomes excited and starts the live broadcast to explain the game to the players on the Media Game Magazine channel. Liv is nervous since it's his first time doing a live broadcast. The secretary, Shin, also introduces herself, as do Sibo, Bao, and the rest of the team. They all blame themselves, saying their management of the company is flawed, which is why the game turned out badly. Meanwhile, Lin watches the broadcast and is shocked by what she sees, becoming very angry. We learn that this was all a trick by the editor, Yui, who is working with Mr. Lee. The plan is to ruin Bai's company's reputation and take control of it. We also find out that Yui is planning to write an article to completely destroy the reputation of Bai's company. At that moment, Lin goes to confront the editor, Yui, about the lies she's spreading about Mr. Li's company. As soon as the magazine's director sees Lin, he becomes afraid because her father's companies are among the largest and most influential in the country. He orders Yu to solve the problem quickly, or else Yu's magazine will be destroyed through her father's companies, which actually fund them. Yu then goes to conduct an interview with Bai directly to resolve the issue. They have a press meeting discussing Bai's company and their amazing games, which are focused solely on player enjoyment. Yu records the interview and publishes it online, improving the company's reputation to the highest level. Even viewers see the employees talking about Bai and how kindly they are treated. Bai is surprised when Mr. Den Cheo also does a live broadcast on his page, supporting Bai's company, telling players how great the company is, caring more about player enjoyment and awareness than financial gains from the games. We see that all comments about Bai's company and games become positive, and even the number of game downloads is increasing continuously. The company's sales reach their peak, and all the employees celebrate. But as usual, Bai is shocked and saddened because he couldn't bankrupt the company again. While on his way home, he gets a call from Mr. Bai, who tells him that he managed to escape this time but won't tolerate him next time. Bai is puzzled by what's happening and who Mr. Lee is, but he is happy that someone finally wants his company to fail like he does.